Yo, what is up, you guys? Welcome back to Small Talk Sports episode 18. We are moving right along over here. Thanks for sticking with us. Whether it's your first time watching or your 18th time watching, welcome to the channel. It was just Father's Day over here in Los Angeles. I hope you all had a great time enjoying it wherever you were in the world, however you may have celebrated it. I, for one, was at the San Fernando Valley RELICS Museum over in Van Nuys, California, and I had a blast. Okay, I cannot recommend this place enough. I'm going to link the tickets in the bio. If you want to learn about the culture, about the history of the greater Los Angeles area, specifically the Valley, but no more museum talk, all right? The NBA draft is coming up, so this is our NBA mock draft episode. Bradley Beal was just traded, but to find out where, you got to keep watching, got to keep listening to the podcast. And for all my tennis fans out there, the Boss Open wrapped up a couple of days ago. And if you're a Tiafoe fan, look, I don't want any spoilers in the intro. It's good news for us Tiafoe fans. That's all I'm going to say. You know, let's get right into it. NBA mock draft right now. So the NBA draft is on Thursday, June 22nd, and the Spurs have the first pick. A lot of people think that Victor Wembanyama is going number one. He's a 7'3" unicorn from France. A lot of people have him going number one, but I also have him going number one. What else are the Spurs going to do? I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Let's move on to the Charlotte Hornets. The Charlotte Hornets were 27-55 last year. They have the second pick. They're super young. They're a super fun team. LaMelo Ball was injured for a lot of last year. He's going to be fully back and healthy. Miles Bridges, I don't really know what his situation is. He should be back. But I have them taking, at the number 2 pick, I have them taking Scoot Henderson. If you're a G League fan like myself, you know he averaged just over 17 points per game, 5 rebounds, 6.6 assists. Now, Scoot Henderson is a very explosive player. He already has the edge on some of these college guys. He's played professional basketball in the G League, and he's that guy for them. And I'm not just being facetious. When there are clutch moments, when there are big moments, the G League Ignite, they're a very talented team. They always seem to give Scoot the ball, and Mr. Henderson always seems to come up big in those moments. And I think that's something that's going to translate well in the NBA. He's going to be an incredible duo with LaMelo. They're both young, flashy guys. It's going to be a lot of fun. I definitely think they get more than 27 wins this year with Scoot. A lot of people have Brandon Miller going too, but you're going to see where I place him in just a second, and that is number 3 with the Portland Trail Blazers. 33-49 last year. We don't know what's going to happen with Damian Lillard. Maybe they trade him. Maybe they rebuild. Shaedon Sharpe, Anthony Simons, Matisse Thybulle, and Cam Reddish. They're all restricted free agents. Yusuf Nurkic is a really solid center on that team. More on him later, believe it or not. I think Portland should probably trade this pick, but just for the fun of picking players in a mock draft, I think they take Brandon Miller out of Alabama. I watched a lot of his highlights, and he is crazy from three-point range. He's 6'9". He shot 38% from 3 last year, averaged 19 points per game over in Alabama. And I really don't know how people are going to guard that. If you're a center, you're not going to be quick enough for him. And if you're a guard, you're just going to get bodied every single play. I think if Lillard stays, he seems like a really nice piece to have there. Obviously a good future piece for Portland. But I'm not going to make this all about Damian Lillard, but who knows if he stays in Portland? I've heard a lot of different teams. Maybe that'll be next week's episode. Portland, please trade the pick if you want a successful future. But if you don't trade the pick, Brandon Miller, that's your guy. Let's move on to the Houston Rockets. They are selecting number 4 in this year's draft. They were 22-60 last year. This is a team that's oozing with potential, and they've been flirting with the idea of a James Harden trade. Jalen Green, Jabari Smith Jr., Usman Garuba, who, fun fact, I used to run an Usman Garuba fan page on Twitter. More on that later. That's for another podcast. That is not for today. My pick for the Rockets is Amen Thompson, averaging 16 points per game with 6 assists and 6 rebounds. A lot of sixes there for the 6'6" guard. And he's a great defender too. He can just steal the devil out of the ball. He's got 2.4 steals per game. He's going to fit in just fine with this young core, especially if James Harden joins the team. That's a really deadly backcourt. This is going to be super interesting because he's one of the first marquee players that played in the overtime elite. So it's going to be fun to follow his NBA career. But he's a very smart player, very physical player. and he will have no problem in this league once he gets adjusted. Number 5 is the Detroit Pistons, who had the worst record in the league with 17 wins and 45 losses. They were a favorite to get that number 1 pick for Victor Wembanyama, but unfortunately they fall to 5. Really nice young core. Cade Cunningham, one of my favorite players. Jaden Ivey, Killian Hayes, Marvin Bagley. They even have James Wiseman. Did you guys forget about that? I know I did. I think they take Jarris Walker from the University of Houston. He averaged 11 points and 6.8 rebounds last year. He had a really nice March Madness showing. I don't know if you guys watched the March Madness tournament. Hopefully you did. He is a bruising big man, and I think that's just a perfect description for him. He really fits this Pistons brand of basketball as a bruising big man, averaging just over a steal and a block a game. I think he fits in very nicely with Beef Stew, with Isaiah Stewart, probably fights for some minutes with James Wiseman. Obviously, being the worst team in the league and dropping to 5 has got to sting a little bit, but I think they make a very smart choice here and definitely improve, at least get more than 17 wins for next year. Picking number 6 is the Orlando Magic. They also have the 11th pick. I think they should trade that one, if not both. They have tons of cap space and the Rookie of the Year, and a pretty talented young team in Cole Anthony, Bull, Markelle Fultz, even Jonathan Isaac's gonna have a huge year. But again, we're not predicting any trades here. So I think if he's still available at 6, I think they take Cam Whitmore from Villanova. He averaged 12.5 points per game and 5.3 rebounds. He seems like a very solid forward for them. He shot 48% from the field last year, and he's got tons of bounce. He's a high-flying, exciting player. He's immediately going to make a change with this Orlando team, again, if he's drafted. But between us, I think Orlando's got to trade these picks. You know, full rebuild mode. You have the Rookie of the Year. Build around him. Don't lose him like you lost Shaq and Dwight Howard and Vucevic and NBA champion Aaron Gordon. Orlando has done a lot wrong historically with their big man. Unfortunately for the fans of Indiana, I am skipping number 7 with the Pacers. I think we can do this all day where I give you every pick, but I know you guys are just interested in the top 5. Let's be honest. But after number 7 with the Pacers is the Washington Wizards at number 8. I don't know how you haven't heard this by now, but the Washington Wizards have traded Bradley Beal to the Phoenix Suns. Yes, you heard me correctly before that transition music. Bradley Beal is on the Phoenix Suns. They now have Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, DeAndre Ayton. It's a big 4. DeAndre Ayton is pretty good when he wants to be, when he decides to play defense. No tea, no shade. The Phoenix Suns traded Landry Shamet, Chris Paul, and a lot of second-round picks, plus pick swaps. And ESPN graded this trade a D for the Phoenix Suns, who again are getting one of the top scorers in the league for what? For an aging point guard and Landry Shamet. I think this team is going to be akin to the other Kevin Durant super team when he was on the Warriors a year after they were 73-9. Not much defense, but a whole lot of offense, and probably a championship to follow. But if you guys remember correctly, I said the same thing after KD went to the Suns, and sure enough, something happened, and the Suns didn't win the championship. But I'm not the only one who's a little skeptical. Jusuf Nurkic, for no reason, started taking shots at the Suns. He said this is another Brooklyn Nets situation, which, Jusuf Nurkic, what are you doing? Why are you getting upset about this? I get that the other 29 teams might be a little peeved, but look, they have 4 really good players, and then what? Cameron Payne off the bench? Josh Okogie as your 5th starter? Everyone is saying Phoenix is going to win it all, and I really don't want to believe that, especially at this point in the game. But it's the NBA. Anything can happen. It was such a tumultuous season last year, ending with the Denver Nuggets winning it all. I don't think anyone predicted that. But let's just see what happens. It's a long off season. They can sign a lot more veterans to the mid-level exception, which is probably all they can afford at this point. These 4 players make up the most expensive starting 5 in the NBA right now. And that's right, I didn't even name 5 players. It's just the 4 of them. $163 million just for this next season. But the story is not over yet of this historic trade that happened on Father's Day. The CEO of the Phoenix Suns is named Josh Bartelstein. Now, the agent of Bradley Beal is Mark Bartelstein. Josh Bartelstein is Mark's son. How's that for a Father's Day gift? That's probably better than the tie that you got yours. But this was a very eventful Father's Day because Frances Tiafoe played in the championship of the Boss Open. Over in Stuttgart, Germany for the Boss Open, Frances Tiafoe was playing Jan-Lennard Struff, and it was a very dramatic game to say the least. It went all 3 sets. The second set ended in a tiebreak won by Tiafoe. The third set also ended in a dramatic tiebreak. Let's skip to championship point. Tiafoe's up 9-8. All right, Struff lobs up a shot to Tiafoe, and he just unloads on this ball. He whacks it over the net, but Jan-Lennard Struff perfectly positions himself to return this rocket right back to Tiafoe. When it looked like he was about to tie up this match again, Tiafoe, with an outstretched racket, somehow, miraculously, gets this shot back over the net. It bounces once, it bounces twice. Frances Tiafoe has won his 3rd career singles title. And look, I'll be honest, I think the Germans were planning on a German victory. There was champagne brought out, which Tiafoe sprayed right over Struff. I don't know if that was intentional. He sprayed it on the Boss Open executives. There were streamers. When Tiafoe lifted up his Boss Open plaque, the streamers got all over Struff. Again, I don't think that was intentional. As Frances Tiafoe was sipping his champagne, it really sunk in that he is now a top 10 tennis player in the entire world. You couldn't help but feel bad for Struff, who had to stand there on the grass and watch this entire celebration, again in his home country of Germany. But Frances Tiafoe has been killing it this year. 2nd title of the year, and hey, I'll say it right now, I don't think it's his last. The year is still early. Tiafoe has had a lot of confidence coming into this year. And what a way to kick off grass court season. I am so happy for Frances Tiafoe. Now, I know Struff was really going through it on Father's Day, but believe it or not, this was not the worst thing to happen to someone on Father's Day. Our beef of the week highlights what is one of the worst moments in baseball history, in my opinion. This week's beef of the week is Charlie Culberson versus the Atlanta Braves. Now, if you're a Dodger fan, you know Charlie Culberson. He was on the Dodgers for 2 years. He had his historic walk-off home run in 2016. It was also Vince Scully's final game at Dodger Stadium. And it was also Charlie Culberson's only home run of the 2016 season. I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, Charlie Culberson's father, Charlie Culberson Sr., was set to throw out the first pitch of the Atlanta Braves game on Father's Day. However, earlier that day, before the game, the Braves DFA'd Charlie Culberson. That's right, they designated him for assignment, sent him back to the minors the morning his dad was supposed to throw out the first pitch. Obviously, Charlie Culberson's dad did not throw out the first pitch because they shipped off his son on the morning of the game, which is, again, on Father's Day. Instead, one of the outfielders, Michael Harris III, his dad threw out the first pitch. It was still a pretty nice moment, but what a mistake by the Braves. Why couldn't they just wait one day? It really doesn't make sense for Charlie Culberson, who's actually from Georgia. Culberson had yet to make an appearance since May 18th when he was called up to the Braves organization. He was there from 2018 to 2020, so this is his second stint with the team. But I think he was just there for some veteran leadership, pulling a Udonis Haslem, maybe. Much like Udonis Haslem's time is probably done in the league, our time is done here for episode 18. Thank you so much, everyone, especially if you've made it to this point of the podcast. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure you're following us on TikTok. We post a lot of stuff over there. We're kind of going crazy on TikTok. I just don't want you guys to miss out. We're probably going to have a lot more Dodger talk moving forward, but you know what? That's for episode 19. So thank you so much. Small Talk Sports.